Placing hand sanitizers in elevators would probably increase their usage simply because people have nothing else to do. If you can't look back at your younger self and realize that you were an idiot, you are probably still an idiot. We thought our parents were embarrassing, but when the TikTok generation has kids, those kids will face forms of embarrassment unknown to us. If a morgue worker dies, they'd still need to come in to work one more time. If, one day, we cure aging and all diseases, we will all die horrible deaths. Having your body stretched on the rack torture device probably makes your back feel great at one point. The biggest coincidence is that the moon and the sun look like they're the same size. It seems unfair that elevators have music but stairs do not have music. One day porn sites will let people filter by century and decade, allowing you to FAP your way through history. During Prohibition, bartenders probably wouldn't care about underage drinking, since everyone at the bar was already drinking illegally. It's 20x easier to tell if someone likes you if you don't like them back. It feels way more awkward to sit on the bus next to someone you vaguely know than a complete stranger. The reason we think flies are really good at entering a room but really bad at leaving is probably because they're actually really bad at entering the room as well. We just see the one attempt that succeeds. If everybody stopped paying taxes, there wouldn't be a prison for them to go to, since prisons are funded by taxes. If you are having a bad day at work, just remember that someone once accidentally burnt down Notre Dame. In beer commercials, the girls are always pretty because we are seeing them from the drunk guy's perspective. So many people will die having never touched a pigeon. People with poor spelling create the strongest passwords. Whoever put two L's in parallel was a genius. Ben Franklin never knew his face would touch so much cocaine. If everyone self-quarantines for a few weeks, there's probably gonna be a bit of a baby boom come Christmas. The world's greatest massage therapist will never experience the world's greatest massage. It's strange how Peach's castle in Super Mario 64 had a flooded basement despite Princess Peach being close friends with two plumbers. You'll be the VIP attending your funeral. Spoiler. When incognito mode generation grows up, nobody will understand delete your history jokes. Our skin is the only organ we get to personalize, and the only organ we can compliment without sounding creepy. If tears were in a yellowish color, like snot or pee, it wouldn't have this much poetic value. There is probably a significant amount of people who masturbate more out of stress than for pleasure. When you warm up by the fire, you're cooking yourself to a comfortable temperature. We usually don't realize how deep a song is until we feel that level of sad. A pregnant amputee can grow limbs but not for themselves. Everything is a weapon, it's just how useful you can be with it. It took a global pandemic to make people recognize that spreading your disease can cause a global pandemic. Somehow, the three bears cooked porridge in one pot, on one ring, on one stove, then doled it out into three separate bowls and it went to three different temperatures. You do not realize how many people are active at 3 a.m. until you live in an apartment. Most laws were created because someone decided to be an asshole one day. It's funny how all of a sudden lots of jobs can be done from home. Am more likely to trust someone who is 99% sure rather than someone who says they are 100% sure. An average 18-year-old is 18.5 years old. Your brain taught itself how to talk to itself. Your brain is slowly 3D printing your hair. Kids that saved their game multiple times grew up to be adults that locked their car multiple times. We used to wash fruits and vegetables to remove any crap left by animals or insects. Now we wash them to remove all the crap left on them by humans. Every time you swallow ocean water, you have a very small chance of swallowing Boston tea. With all of the birds in the world, it seems kind of strange that we don't come across more dead ones. If you are dead long enough, grave robbery becomes archaeology. Thanks to quantum tunneling, there is a 1/5.2 to the power of 61st chance that when you slap a table, your hand will pass through it. Everybody clap your hands from Cha-Cha Slide is one of the few instances where the human race drops everything and cooperated with each other. Good artists think they suck and bad artists think they're good. A few hundred years ago, being a passenger on a tall ship crossing the ocean must have been fucking terrifying. Every Mozart and Beethoven tune you've ever heard is a cover version. Google has become so reliable that when we cannot access google.com, we always assume it's the internet that fails, not Google. The tallest man to ever live has been everyone's height. Since nobody can predict the future, technically every single day is the end of the world as we know it. Tomorrow will be the 69th day of the year, and subsequently, the decade. If fish screamed, fishing wouldn't be so popular. We consider beef from cows that live normally to be the luxury instead of the standard. You never felt so stupid buying your regular amount of pasta and toilet paper. Tom Hanks is yet again marooned on an island in isolation with Wilson. In times like this, life's little successes can be as simple as waking up without a fever or body aches. Discovering what mushrooms were safe to eat back in history must have been one wild trip. The language baby's inner thoughts are before they learn how to speak is the actual human language. We take double jumping for granted in games, but it's the most physically paranormal thing in real life. As much as we use our phones these days, we never see or use them in dreams. Your dinosaur game high score probably reflects how bad your internet connection is. With all the accidental scientific discoveries out there, it makes you wonder how many more failed experiments are actually breakthroughs in something unrelated, but the dots just haven't been connected. When USPS and Amazon stops delivering, it's time to panic. If Germany is the fatherland and Russia is the motherland, then the Battle of Stalingrad was a horrible divorce. People moan about being caught in traffic, but if you're in the traffic, you are the traffic. I'll risk going out in public just to have a date with you is now a pickup line. Everyone is washing their hands, but no one is cleaning their phones. Very few animals die of old age. Instead, they starve to death because they can't find their own food. Washing your hands next to someone in a public restroom turns into a who can wash their hands more thoroughly competition. Advertisements shouldn't be allowed to have sirens or use the phrases "OK Google" and "Hey Siri." People often point out how rice milk doesn't taste like rice and how almond milk doesn't taste like almonds. But cow's milk doesn't taste like cow and goat's milk doesn't taste like goat. TPing someone's house is now an act of generosity. With app-based dating, many relationships have started while someone was sitting on the toilet. If your child doesn't know, it's not their fault. It's yours. You can't represent open and closed with their initials because their shape is opposite of what they represent. It's a shame society deemed skipping as goofy because it's actually a really efficient and fun way to get around. Can't think of a single apocalypse or plague movie that anticipated the run on toilet paper. Santa never spent a Christmas holiday with his family. If every country adopted pull doors on the way into restrooms and push doors on the way out, we would reduce the spread of illnesses contracted by contact. If you ask why enough times, you will always eventually get to philosophy. If you throw a rock into the ocean, you're the last person to ever touch that rock. That rock will sit at the bottom of the ocean till the sun turns into a red giant and engulfs the earth. The increasing number of warning labels on products is directly proportional to the increasing number of idiots on our planet. You never stop clapping. You just make the interval between two claps extremely long. Hydration backpacks are reverse scuba gear. All the stores selling out of hand sanitizer and cleaning supplies just proves how poor the general public's hygiene typically is. Bob the tomato shouldn't be in VeggieTales. He's not a vegetable. You're closer to being a millionaire than Mike Bloomberg is. Good things come to those who wait, and the early bird gets the worm are two things we're taught as children that contradict each other. Our biggest mistake was letting the 1% of germs live. If you wrap your hand around a tree and lick the ground, planet Earth temporarily becomes a lollipop. It's easy to see how people fall for cults when you see how quickly people believe and share lies on social media. You can convince 1,000 humans by appealing to their prejudices quicker than you can sway one person by reason. Real adulthood starts when you start encountering problems that you can't avoid just by not repeating your parents' mistakes. If we're living in the Matrix, it seems someone probably forgot to update their antivirus software. Not a single zombie movie has the zombies fight each other, they all just gang up. The more you weigh, the more money you spend on gas. Cooking for one isn't nearly as annoying as cleaning up for one. The lyrics to Old MacDonald are in past tense. He's dead. A pretty annoying problem with traveling back in time is remembering your old login passwords.